One of my favorite visas out there is the TN visa. It's a work visa, but it's for a professional, so I can really identify with that as being somebody that's been educated and gone to school, gone through the college experience, and kind of a technical type job. And the TN visa is that kind of visa. And but if you're kind of like trying to say like, what is the TN visa? You keep talking about this, Mike. Well, it's a work visa. That's basically what it is. But to kind of dissect it a little bit more, I want to do that over the next few minutes. So TN visa it's a work visa for professionals, people that have gone to college. And it's a neat visa because it really addresses our neighbors. We're looking at the only ones that qualify are Canadian citizens and Mexican citizens. And I've got some points I want to bring up with this, but the thing about that is that it's a non-immigrant visa, and the non-immigrant visas means that they're not ones that are going to give you a green card. They're not going to give you citizenship, but they're temporary visas. Now they're longer temporary visas. Some visas people can only come in for a few weeks sometimes, or a little bit longer. But this TN visa is a 3-year visa with the opportunity to keep renewing it indefinitely. There's no cap on it, which is really awesome, because if that person works for you and is a really nice fit for your employment or your business, then man, you keep that person going and going and going, and that's a really great deal. I'm going to tell you some other things that I like about with it as well, is that you can process. It's not required to like only process outside of the United States or only process in the United States, but it's flexible. It gives you the opportunity, if they're here and in lawful status, do the USCIS processing in the United States, and you can even pay for premium processing, which means you can pay for that extra. But man, if you want them here, you can be quick to start with your new job, your business, 15 days or less if you want to pay for the premium processing. And realistically, the processing times aren't really that long if you don't want to do the premium processing, which is lately they've been showing about 2.5 months. So that's a pretty good deal. But premium processing is the preferred way for most of my employers that I work for, and because you can get them, we've had them as short as under 10 days even. So that's really cool. Now they can't start working for you until they get approved, and that's really important. But if they're going to do consulate processing, and the Canadian side, they're going to come through the port of entry at the border, at the bridge, check-ins. But on the Mexican side, they've got a little bit different type of situation where they actually have to get an initial processing. If they're going through the consulate, they actually have to go to one of 3 different consulates. We like Juarez. It's closest to the border for one, but we've found some good success with Juarez down there. So a couple other things I want to talk about. I said it was in 3-year increments. The big thing with that is to talk about is that if they're going to travel, which most people don't want to stay in the United States, you're a foreign country for 3 straight years. So the key thing with that is make sure that the passport, they're going to have a passport to be able to even be granted this visa. But if they're going to travel, that passport needs to be valid for at least 6 months before they decide to travel, or else Border Patrol will not let them back in. Okay, so keep that in mind. So if they start a process with you and they're working here, you got to make sure that passport's really kept a close eye on, and people are planning ahead. Some people are good planners, some people aren't. So make sure that those workers, they're new experience, and they've got to make sure that they're keeping a close eye on that passport. You might as well help them out with that as well. Another beautiful thing about the TN is that you can bring a spouse and kids. The kids got to be under 21 and they can't be married. But that's a really great deal. They come on something called a TD visa. Next thing is that we've been able to figure out some really cool ways to get people appointments at the consulate. Now, if you just don't know and are unfamiliar with scheduling appointments at the consulate, you might see yourself 6-8 months out. But we've got some ways that we figured out to get some people appointments really quick, within a few weeks often. So anyway, just got to be prepared for it, okay? So anyway, we talked about premium processing. Premium processing does come with a price, okay? Premium processing does cost $2,500, But if you're running a business and you need people quickly and you get a big operation, premium processing might be your best way to go, because every day that you don't have that worker there, you are losing money. So it's a great way to do that. We're not talking about just people that, have maybe no work ethic, but we're talking about, and this is the part that I really like about the TNs, is this is people that have been tested and tried out. They've already made it through their university experience, and there's only a few out of the roughly 60 different professions that qualify for the TN visa that actually don't require a bachelor's degree. But if they don't require the bachelor's degree, they still got a lot of time to be tested and tried to even qualify for this. And you want to invest your time into knowing these people in advance as well. And that's one of the big things that I would say, is that if you're interested in doing the TN, do a thorough analysis of getting to know these people. Invest some time, just a little bit, because it is an investment to do, but you're making an investment for some high quality applicants to help you with your operation. And in Western Kansas, we use this a lot for feedlots and dairies, but there's a vast variety: architects, engineers. There's a lot more than that, but we usually engineers and people that work with animals. That's what we do in Western Kansas. But if you're in Texas, Oklahoma, wherever in the United States, I can help you do that. It's all national law, and we've got clients all over, all four corners of the United States now. So it's fun. A couple other things. This is a great one too, is that with the TN visa, it's a really beautiful visa. Sometimes there's work visas where there's some real stringent limitations where you got to work with the Department of Labor, but the Department of Labor is there for very good purposes. But when Congress created the TN visa, they wanted to use it, and where there's a lot of flexibility. Sometimes some red tape creates some barriers that really just it needs a little more flexibility. And that's what the beautiful thing about the TN visa does, is it creates some really beautiful flexibility with this. Full-time or part-time is an option for you. Self-employment is not an option, so you got to keep that in mind. But there's unlimited amounts of renewals, and I love that, because say you may have done some research and looked at the H-1B visa. It's a cap for most situations after 6 years, but the TN visa's not that way. So that's a beautiful thing about that. So no specific wage requirements, but this is really important, that you make sure that the type of profession that they're going to be seeking, you want to make sure that it looks like professional type pay, or else USCIS or the consulate can be like, yeah, you're paying them at a very low skilled minimum wage worker. It's good to try to run a tight ship when you're running your business, but don't be too greedy and try to undercut anybody on pay. So you're getting eager workers. You want to pay them well. But there's a lot of flexibility with that. So those are some of the cool things that I like about the TN, and things that about the TN a little bit more. So things that I've noticed that people should watch out with the TN. First of all, is that a lot of people, it makes me want to it gets nauseous even when I think about this, but people think, oh, you're just filling out paperwork. Sometimes the people that are smart realize that it's a lot more than just filling out paperwork that we do and checking some boxes. But there are people out there that say, oh, fill out a box and write a letter and you're good to go. No, it's a lot more than that. You have to understand what we call inadmissibilities. There are 50 different immigration violations, depending on how you want to splice up a sentence, that will keep people from getting their permission to come into the United States, whether through green card or through a visa. So you got to know those people that are trying to cut corners and say, we're just going to fill out some paperwork. You're messing with employees' lives, you're messing with your business, and being very reckless. So get some good advice and talk to an immigration attorney that does TN visas if you're going to do this process. So you got to screen your employees. If they have come in the United States before, you got to double check and make sure when did they leave? Did they leave timely? You got to look at the visas. You got to look at the I-94s. You got to see who they worked for to see if they may be given a great interview. They may sound really great on the phone and really great in person, but one little goof up of working for somebody else, and you got to grill them. And I don't like to be hard on people, but we're talking about a lot of money invested here, so we got to make sure that good, strong questions are asked, and sometimes leading questions, so you can elicit the information you need to for an employer, and it's really good for the employee as well to understand that. But like I mentioned, passports, and I got to say one more thing about the passport thing is that passport. The U.S., the Mexican consulate especially is very, very difficult to get into. It will take months to get into there. So you've got to make sure people are getting close to the expiration date. It's getting close to holidays, weddings, funerals, they all pop up sometimes completely randomly and a lot of times. And you got to make sure you're on top of that passport, because it's not like, oh, you can just go to like order your McDonald's burger and be there right away. It's going to take time, so be on top of that. So for Mexican citizens that are going to be doing the TNs, the consulates are very, very strict on wanting, in my experience anyway, wanting a cedula. That's the professional license. Make sure that people have the professional license and the bachelor's degree. Is a professional one. I look specifically usually I'm looking how long were they in college. 4 years is what I'm hunting for. That's usually a bachelor's degree type requirement. So have people kept up with their addresses. That's really, really important. If they can't say who they work for and where they've been living, I would not be interested in using them in a TN type situation. Keep a close eye on travel. So if they've overstayed, it's so easy to miss that, but you got to keep a close eye on that. And another key thing I feel like as well is like, and this goes with the interview aspect of this, and we're talking sometimes a little bit more than just visas here, because really I run a business as well. We got to be practical here. But on the TN aspect, you've got to know these people. You're investing, really, especially if you're doing the premium processing, thousands of dollars invested into this person. You got to make sure that they're committed. So the beautiful thing about the TN visa is that it doesn't have to be all paid by the employer. It can be all paid by the employee. I don't think that you're going to find always the greatest applicants in that situation. I think there's got to be some skin in the game, though. I do. So I would say roll with some kind of helping them out a little bit, but not lay everything out on a silver platter for people just to take advantage of you if you're an employer. So we've seen some of that happen sometimes, but as long as there's skin in the game, I've usually found that there's a really great symbiotic relationship there. So another beautiful thing that I really like about that's been really helpful for a lot of people is sometimes people are wanting to leave an employer because they find a better situation. Maybe you run a better business than somebody else does. Maybe there's some better incentives out there. And if that employee decides that they want to work for you, for example, if you're running a big business, and the beautiful thing too is that there's no limit on how big or small your business needs to be. But if there's going to be a transition, first of all, USCIS, if they're here, they need to make sure that they don't start working for the new guy first before getting approved, or else it will get denied because they would be out of status. They're in status as long as they haven't violated status. There's a lot of ways to violate status, but one of the big ways that people violate status is working for somebody else before they get permission for that. So make sure that doesn't happen, okay? Even if don't be tempted to do things wrong, like paying under the table or some of those perk benefits or bonuses and that kind of thing. Just do things on the up and up and do it the right way. God blesses that. I'm convinced of that. But there is a 60-day grace period where people can stop working for one person and not be employment status at time and then wait for USCIS to approve if they're here. So in those situations, that 60-day grace period is kind of small, and you usually probably want somebody to hustle so that you can get them to work for you. So pay for that premium processing and get it done quick. But I tell you, there's been a few people that we've come across, it's been close to that 50-day mark, and like they needed to file something quickly so they could stay in status within that grace period and be qualified to work. So key things there. All right. Reasons why I think an attorney is helpful. I'm an immigration attorney. In April, it'll be 17 years that I do over 99% immigration work. But don't have to hire me, but this is what I do. I like TNs. But reasons why I think it's helpful is because we understand the reasons behind the boxes that we're checking. Not everybody does. A lot of times you may think that a sentence sounds the same if you're tempted to fill it out on your own, but those little sentences or those little phrases actually are legal terms that have definitions to understanding that. And if you're signing it, then you're actually signing things under penalty of perjury. So it's kind of a big deal. So make sure that we're trained to do that, and not all immigration attorneys are created equal or work the same. But you got to make sure that it's really important to think that we've been down this road multiple times and we've got some experience with that. Second thing is, we talked about inadmissibilities. There's 50 different ones, and there's a lot of nuances even within the federal circuits. There's 13 different ones that could interpret different things. So which circuit are you in? I don't know where you're watching at. So it's really important that you consider some of those things as well. We are really good at understanding immigration attorneys that focus on immigration laws, especially if they only do it. We've got a good idea about what non-immigrant intent is, and that's maintaining that intent that I'm going to go outside after I'm done with my visa. That's absolutely required for non-immigrant visas. TN visas are one of those. It's a great visa, and a lot of people may want to transition it into green card, but you can't go in and say, I'm applying for my TN if I'm the employee. I'm going in to apply for my TN, and I'm going to be applying for my green card next week too. My employer said that. They're going to stop them right there and say, you're done. You're not coming in. But you got to understand, and we got to screen, and we got to advise that, this is proper, this is not proper, okay? And we got to make sure that people are honest as well. So that's really important. All right, next thing is there's also specialized knowledge understanding. You can have a lot of things that are going to have a lot of dates with a lot of expiration dates on them as well. Things like I-94s, visas, passports, approval notices. You got to understand what all those things are looking like. Receipt notices. Where do you check what the current processing times are? Where are they at? Those are all things that we do. We do them daily. And I've been blessed with 24 years of workers' experience that have been with me now. So it's really awesome to be able to have that great of experienced staff. But experience really matters when it comes to doing things like this. The other thing that we have as well is that if immigration attorneys have access to liaison offices and minutes that we have that are sometimes frequently changing with border issues specifically. If you watch the news, things are changing constantly, and different criteria are sometimes set up. So there's I belong to a group called AILA, and it's so helpful. It's like giant chat rooms, but we've got specific people selected to go meet with the head people from the government agencies that are involved and say, like, what's going on at the consulate, what's going on with the premium processing, what's going on with certain specific border points of entry are really important as well to understanding what's going on right now. So those are some nice reasons to probably hire an immigration lawyer. All right, finally, what are my favorite TNs? I said there's roughly 60 different TN professions out there. Now, it's important to know as well that your type of business may only need a couple different types, but you've got a lot of options available to you. But my favorite two, I'm really a country boy, and I love to be outside and love to be with animals and hunt and all that kind of stuff. But so I like working with employers that do the same, and I'm in a great place for that. I love that. But we love animal breeders. We love animal scientists. So ranchers, farmers, people that raise cattle and sell them and do all that kind of stuff with them. That's great. We love that. Another great thing is if you like to work with your hands or you're running kind of a business like that, engineers are great with that. We've done mechanical engineers, we've done aeronautical engineers, really fun jobs, doing blue collar type work, but it is not educated as a blue collar worker. They may be outside hands-on stuff, but the TNs are for professionals, people that have gone through the university experience. They've got that specialized knowledge, and they're going to be not working as a grunt, but they're actually going to be working in that professional capacity. So you got to outline those types of things, but I love that. That's cool. It's like being skilled in what you are passionate about and then getting to do it. I mean, that's filling a bucket, you know what I mean? So, maybe one of I want to say my three great reasons, three great things today to talk about with the TNs is that, one, the employer has the opportunity to fill a job position with that's huge, right? If you've got a gap, you need somebody. What a source of relief that is to have that. Two, if you've ever been looking for work, that's filling somebody's need that they don't want to just do any job, but they're doing something that they really like a whole lot. And they got all these years invested into it, and now they're getting to do it for their livelihood and oftentimes supporting their family as well. Beautiful, awesome job experience and helping our neighbors from Canada, Mexico to do that. And third, I love it because I feel like I've got a really great system in place and we're able to kick cases out in oftentimes less than a week. So anyway, that's TN visas. I hope it's really helpful for you for what I was able to elaborate on. I didn't just read from the rule book, but it was a lot of practical experience about things that I feel like were important for you to understand. If you're considering needing workers, or if you're maybe an employee and you're looking for work, this is a beautiful option for you, and we'd love to help you out. All right, let me know if you have any questions.